Hi everyone, welcome to Clutch Entertainment today. Today we'll be talking about interview tips. Tips, tricks, whatever you need. You go into an interview with either an employer or maybe you're going to an interview for a certain position somewhere higher up or a promotion, or we'll talk about several different ways with getting an interview and how to do it efficiently. Getting interviewed is a very important part of everyone's life. At some point of our life, we'll get interviewed or we'll get interrogated. You know, if you are a criminal, of course, you still get interviewed with questions. So anybody who gets a bunch of series of questions is being interviewed for the most part. And when you're interviewed with somebody, you're trying to answer these questions that somebody has given you, or somebody's trying to get to a point to find out more about you or a certain situation. For example, if I'm trying to figure out what's the best color in the world that people like, I could say blue, green, yellow, orange, whatever color I choose, and then they could take that answer based on what I answer and apply it to their results. That's basically one example of an interview question, but overall, there's a ton of different interview questions and tons of different situations. We'll just go into mainly some tips and tricks, like I said, and we'll go into some ways to improve your interview skills. The first overall skill for doing an interview is your communication skills. You have to be front, upright, tell the truth, and you always want to be upfront with things. An interview isn't always about what can I make up to make me look good. It's more of how can I be my authentic self when I'm interviewing this specific employer. What am I going to get out of this job, and how do I want to present myself to get the job? And if you apply those questions to yourself, you can really put a nail on how you're going to do the interview in the first place. The most important part as far as the communication is asking the questions to the employer, especially when you're done with the interview. After they have finished their series of questions, then you will be answering questions you will be asking questions based on what you heard in the interview, or how you interpreted the interview as a whole. So what I would say is, if you're going to ask a question that specifically targets the job. For example, if I'm targeting the job and I want to know, like, they don't describe anything about, like, what do you see on an average day, that would be something that you can ask. Like, what do you see on an average day? Just to see what in general that you do on a daily routine. Most people want to know this because, you don't want to get into a job and then you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to, and then you get into the job and you don't know, didn't know you were going to do something, and then you hate the job, because you don't want to ever go into like any kind of job or place where you feel uncomfortable and you didn't want to be there in the first place, because that's just a no-no basically. But overall, you want to interview for something that will progress you as a whole, whether it be for yourself physically, if you want to be like a physical instructor at a job, or you want to be like a teacher somewhere where you train people, whether you want to be something like mentally, like you want to help people out like with mental issues, or you want to help someone out with like learning something, or if you're trying to work on giving people what they need, like advice and such, like a counselor. There's several different ways that using the interview skills can really give you what you need. And the communication, like I said, is the biggest part. Communicating is pretty much everything in our lives, as well as patience, because everything takes time in our lives. And, when you're in the interview, it's going to take some time. So getting adjusted to the interview and how you're going to present yourself really puts you in a good spot, how you're going to portray who you are and what you can get out of the interview, or what you need. So a good tip for you to when you are interviewing is to have great posture. You always want to stand up straight or sit up straight, and you want to present yourself with a good tone in your voice. Not something like, I'm really scared, I don't want to do this. That will not work very well. You want to do something more of like, I got this, I'm going to do this, like in that confident voice. You don't want to be like upset either, like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm not feeling great. It's best if you're nervous just to put on an act. You can get through it. Just take deep breaths before you go into the interview. Make sure you get to the interview a little early so you can take a few deep breaths and relax before the interview. And that'll give you another way to just center yourself and relax. So I typically do a breathing technique which relaxes you. It's the 4-6-7. So you breathe in 4 seconds through your nose, hold for 6 seconds, and breathe out for 7 seconds. Do that for about maybe 4 or 5 times, and it should relax you enough so you'll be okay when you go into the interview. That's just an example of how to do a breathing technique for even like anxiety or something before like an interview or any kind of serious thing that you're going to go into beforehand. But another thing with the posture is I would say look eye contact. So when you're looking at the person you're speaking to or the interviewer, you want to look directly into their eyes and then don't like stare at them, but I'm saying like make good eye contact when you're speaking or when you're talking about something you want to portray towards that specific interviewer. So sometimes there's more interviewers than one in an interview, so that way they can have some like backup on questions and how they can explain certain things to you in general. Focus on what you want to portray as yourself. That was a little bit with the communication skills, how you portray yourself with the other interviewer. And you want to show yourself that you are right for whatever it is. If you show that you're right for whatever it is, then you are showing that you have the skills that's needed to complete whatever they want you to do. And if you can get into a good interview habit, the next interview you do will be great, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and eventually you'll just be a pro at interviewing. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, but I've been through maybe, as far as job interviews, I've been through 15 to 20. You know, there's other stuff like college application interviews, there's sports interviews, there's all kinds of other stuff. But having good interview skills with those things really help you get to the next level and where you want to be in life. I would say the next thing is to prepare for your interview. So like I mentioned before, getting there early, 5 minutes or 10 minutes early, and just relaxing and getting yourself all set up for the interview, that's one way. Another thing is you can go online and look at some interview questions. You just Google interview questions and it'll give you a whole list of different things that people will ask you in interviews. The biggest question that I find that most interviewers ask is, what is your greatest weakness? And I didn't talk about this before with some of the questions, but with this question, this is probably the main question people ask to try to trip you up. The biggest weakness, you could say something along the lines of, my greatest weakness is I love to help others so much, or something like that. You don't want to say something like, I'm bad at this job, or I'm bad at this specific skill, because that puts you down and makes you look negative with the situation. So you always want to put yourself in a position where you do your research beforehand, and then that way you won't be so flustered when you get into the interview. And having those things that you know what to say and know what to do when you get into the interview and know some of the questions that they'll be asked of you, it'll help you get to the next level and help you get through that interview. Another thing you could try is actually practicing with a family member or friend too, along with the prep. So you can go up to like maybe a friend or family and say, hey, can you practice being the interviewer and I'll be the interviewee? And you can go up to them and they'll ask you the questions within the meeting and it'll help you overall prepare for it. Doing all kinds of different prep work really prepares you for where you need to go and what you need to do. Having the experience with interviewing myself, I have really grown within interviews. I remember my first interview, it was at a McDonald's actually, because I was wanting to be a regular crew member there at McDonald's because this was my first job. And I remember going there and I was really nervous because you don't have people it's almost like an interrogation when you first do it. It's like, are they trying to get something out of me before I start working here? And it really contributes to like feelings of nervousness, anxiety. And the more you just go through it and just, focus on what you're trying to say or how you're trying to prove yourself with words, gives you a real key on how to finish the interview the right way. Like I said earlier too, is having the good communication skills and along with the preparation I've been describing really helps you get to that next level. Having good body language shows exactly how you're gauging your interest in the position or how you're going towards the certain position. When you have good body language, like I was saying before, along with your posture, that goes along with the body language. You want to have the good eye contact, the good tone, the good communication skills, and you want to be completely positive on everything you say. When you say stuff positively, like, I'm going to be a great worker here, or I'm going to be a good help to our team that you have here, those kind of statements help you. You don't want to say like, oh, I might not be able to do that, or I'm not sure if I'll be able to function that way, because then they'll definitely reconsider hiring you at all for the position. Another thing you can do is you want to reinforce your interest in the position. And reinforcing your interest is more of like, I'm a great team player, like along with the positivity. I'm a great team player. I can do this. I can help your company out. I can be there when I need to be there, or you can just call on me whenever you need me. Those kind of statements really help you and put you towards where you need to be. And it also helps reinforce, hey, this guy is interested, or hey, she is interested in this certain position. And those kind of things really help you get to where you're going to go. And another thing is, after you complete the interview, some post-interview things that I haven't really spoke of, is you want to be patient. You want to make sure you wait long enough before you hear something from them, and also ask questions. When will I be able to know when I get this position, or when will I hear from you to get this position? So that way you'll know a good idea of when you'll hear from them or when you need to contact them in general. And ask if they need any documentation or any other additional items before you end up going to end the interview itself. Overall, we talked about a bunch of interview tips, tricks, and what you can do to have a good interview overall. It's just a big thing and a big skill to have these days, is the number of people going right into jobs instead of college has been increasing lately. And going to college first and then going to a job also matters too, because you have to prepare for job interviews for college too, because some college applications require interviews also. So overall, we're always going to be interviewing. I don't ever see that going away. I mean, I've seen more phone interviews now than there used to be because of COVID and all that stuff. But overall, it doesn't matter where you're interviewing, the phone, if you're interviewing on a video call, or if you're interviewing in person. You always want to be prepared mentally and physically when you go into these meetings with people. And you want to know how your interviewers are going to ask you questions. You want to know what they're going to ask. All these things to get prepared, as long as preparing yourself physically and mentally with how you look. That's one thing I didn't mention earlier. You want to look presentable. You want to have either like a good nice dress shirt, a tie and a suit, or depending on what job you're applying for, dress appropriately where it's like business casual or very business attire. You just want to prepare yourself based on the job or the type. Get dressed appropriately. And make sure you like shower, makeup, fix your hair. You want to smell presentable, you want to look presentable, and you want to make yourself feel good, because by doing those things, it'll boost some confidence too in the preparation of the interview. So you'll have the positivity of yourself with your body overall, that you'll know, oh, I can actually, go into this interview and look confident. I can do this, All those different things really attribute to how you're going to be getting the interview and being successful with it. So thank you for watching Clutch Entertainment today. I really appreciate all your interest in the show. If you can like and subscribe, that'll be great. And I will see you next Tuesday. And oh wait, before we go, I have something for you. I have a surprise for you. Today's ending of the show is here with Serenity the cat. She's definitely a good girl here, and she wanted to tell you good luck on your interview. Right, Serenity? Say good luck to the camera. She definitely wants to say good luck to you all on your interview. See you later.